Good evening, everyone. Sorry about the little delay. We had technical comprehension difficulties. Thank you for joining us in the Ladies Lounge this evening on Jetsons Radio DC. I am Jazz.
And I'm T.
And
Hello,
tonight,
everyone.
yes, oh my gosh. Okay, so tonight we have not a fun topic, but we have a serious topic, and it is about children who call the other man daddy. Is it right? Is it wrong? Just how do you feel about it? But before we get into that, I want to talk about the fight last night. How you feel about the fight last night, friend?
Well, you know what, Jazz? Honestly, it was good. I'm not a big boxer fan or anything like that, but I will watch the fight. It's because it's fun, the environment, people getting together. But and it's not that I don't. When I say that to say it's not that I don't like Mayweather, it's that I don't care, for him. Like I'm not a boxer fan, it don't matter to me who would have won. To be honest with you, but it was a very interesting fight because the other guy who fought McGregor,
Yeah.
even though it's not like I watch his type of fighting too, but when I'm flipping through the channels, I see that type of fight and I'm like this. I can't look at it. You know what I'm saying? Because the way how they just be hitting each other.
And that's why I can look at it.
So it was really interesting to know how this fight was going to turn out because of the type of fighter that he is.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Two different fighting styles.
Yes. So it was really good. I had a good time. I enjoyed it.
I did too.
It was really good.
And I thought, I like both. I'm not an avid follower of either, but I love both. I love UFC and I love boxing, and I like Mayweather. He arrogant for the camera. He put on a good show.
Yeah, he did.
And McGregor, I thought he was fun. I thought he was almost comical with his showboating, but it turned out as I figured it would in my mind. I thought that Mayweather would let him tire himself out and do all his extra and eat a couple of them blows. And I think he gave Mayweather a run for his money, but I knew money was going to win because I knew this was his last fight, his last again fight, because I think he had already retired and they pulled him for this one. So I figured he was going to win. He wasn't going to go out like that. That's what I thought. But I knew McGregor, UFC fighter, and he didn't even start little. Like he went straight for money,
Right.
Like, well, he got, his nuts heavy right now. You know what I'm saying? So I think, for showmanship, he did what he came to do, but I figured he was going to lose. He was a little bit too showboaty, but I think it was a great fight overall. And like you said, I like being in the gathering and all that good stuff, and we having a good time and laughing and getting all extra hype like we in the audience.
Right.
So it was fun. So, congratulations to both guys. I'm sure that is something to talk about the next morning to have on your record. I'm not sure, how happy I would be if I was on the losing end, but I guess it wouldn't matter if I was taking home 9 figures anyway. So that's all I had to say about the fight. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. But back to the topic at hand again. Thank you for joining us here in the Ladies Lounge.
Thank you.
Washington.
Thank you.
What is it? Jetsons Radio DC?
Yes.
I said, what is it?
You know what? Trust me, this has been a rough Sunday for both of us.
It has been. Guys, we can't even figure out stuff we do every week.
It was a long night, and I had to go to work and all that. So
yeah, I just probably got out of bed for the 5th time today. But anyway, so calling another man dad. Okay, so let's go with a scenario. You meet this guy and you all are wonderful for like the first 2 years, and he meets your little kid, maybe like 1 or 2. The kid has never met his father, but dude is in the picture doing daddy stuff, and the kid just randomly calls this man daddy. You know what I'm saying? And so the man doesn't know what to say, but he doesn't stop him because you didn't as the mom. So then he leaves, right?
Right.
Not because the kid called him daddy, but whatever happens, a couple months down the line, he leaves. And he never reappears again to fulfill the daddy role that the child thought that he was there to fulfill. And you never told this kid, this is not your dad. You never, had that talk because, of course, he's like 1 or 2. So, like, how do you handle that?
I think the scenario can go so many ways.
Right.
With the scenario that you just gave, and it could also go into the situation where the guy, the child, the kids know their dad. The mother moves on, is now in a current relationship, regardless how long they've been in, or they may remarried or something like that. And now is calling the stepdad, or, some case could be the new boyfriend, depending on his, to each his own, to call the other guy dad. Personally, again, I don't think I see a problem with it. Not to say that every guy that you meet, this child should be calling the person dad.
Right.
But I mean, if you're in a committed relationship and this guy is, taking a role of dad, now regardless if the father's in a active in the kid's life,
Right.
I personally don't see a problem with it. My thing is that, to me, my opinion is that you just would have to explain to the child, especially depending on how old they are, that, not to say that this new daddy, I don't even want to say that, but like, this is dad now. But then it depends, because are you forcing a kid to call this new man dad, or is maybe this kid want to call this person dad?
But with them being
You know what I'm saying?
do you really think that they are in a position to know what they may hear his other kids calling dad and just calling dad because they hear it?
And that's why I said, married or unmarried, it really does depend on the situation. It really does. But we got a few comments. April Top Notch Lattimore said, "Hey ladies, hey April, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us." She also said, "No, I'm against it until y'all married." And like I said, I agree too. I really do. But then I guess, depending on the situation, I'm just saying, as far as the female, I don't know. They could have been together for, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years or something like that. Has been a part of this child's life, depending on how early they came into the child's life. And I guess, do you force it? Would, like Jazz said, if the child start just calling this person daddy, do you say no, you don't do it? And I'm gonna say that on my case, because this topic, again, is something that I can definitely relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And we have this problem every day, in our lives, that regardless if the dad is there or not, some type of men feel some type of way about another man that's calling that their kid is calling dad.
Mm-hmm.
In my situation, my daughter was 2 when
Right.
she started calling my ex-husband dad. And honestly, we never stopped it. We were married, but when she first initially called him that, we just never stopped it. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't nothing to say, you shouldn't be calling him dad, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? We just never stopped it. And we was just like, wow, she called you daddy. And we just kept it. Now
she did that on her own free will.
Yes,
it wasn't like you was like, this is your new dad.
No. Definitely not it.
Okay.
And then as she got older, of course, she knew who her biological dad was. To me, in my opinion, can it confuse the kids? Yes, it can, if you don't be honest with them, or, let them know who their real dad is. You know what I'm saying? So she always grew up calling her stepdad daddy, but she knew, at the end of the day, she had 2 daddies, however you want to put it. You know what I'm saying? She knew she had 2, but she know who's the guy that actually raised her.
And see, the thing is what you say too about him being your ex-husband. He is still a part of her life.
Right.
He's dad. You know what I'm saying? He's
Right.
fully assumed that position. Just because things didn't work out with you and him doesn't mean that he stopped loving your daughter and just started taking care of your son only. You know what I'm saying? To separate the two.
Right.
So that's what the difference is. Like, when she decided to call him dad, he fully assumed that role. You know what I'm saying? Beyond you and him. So the thing is that I'm wondering, like, and you saying your ex-husband, but like, even for the people that haven't married.
Right, exactly. And I like I said, I think to me, just my decision, my opinion, it depends on the situation. I mean, you probably could have been with the guy for 15 years. Your son or your daughter, he's been in their life since they was 2. So now here they are, a teen, you know what I'm saying, preteen, teenager. How do you go by, like, it's tough. It is a tough decision. But is it wrong? No, I don't think it's wrong.
Well, I did
You
have
know.
a situation like that. When my son was a little smaller,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy that I was dealing with has a daughter that's his same age.
Mm-hmm.
So he heard her call him daddy,
Right.
and so he repeated it.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, that ain't your daddy.
Okay.
Don't get excited. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? That's not your daddy.
And of course, Jack Dad was always
It
active
has
in
always,
his life.
yeah, it's very, present in his life, and he didn't do it because he's looking for one. He just did it because he was repeating what he heard.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I stepped in to let him know, like, nah, bro. Like this ain't your daddy, but he's still in your life. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
if we go on to continue this relationship and you grow up and you feel that you want to call this man daddy,
Mm-hmm.
you still know that your biological is still very present.
Right.
And to me, that's your decision. But me and you and him and I are going to have a conversation about that, because even if my son decides to call this guy dad,
Mm-hmm.
I need him to understand that this goes beyond me. You know what I'm saying?
And that's a lot. The kid is feeling this way.
That's a lot of things that women fail to do when they allow their children to call another man dad, regardless to marriage or regardless to just boyfriend, because either way, it can always end in divorce or end in separation.
Right.
And it's a conversation that's never had, because everybody's like, well, the kid feel comfortable and I don't want to break the little guy's heart. I'm sure that's how, the men are feeling, like, dang,
Mm-hmm. Right. We have a few comments. April said the mother should correct it and have a conversation with the kid. I definitely agree. Yes, I definitely do agree. Regardless the age. Well, no, I can't say regardless the age, because like I said, my daughter was 2, but again, I was married and at the time.
And he was comfortable with that.
Yes,
well. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he was like, I ain't your daddy.
Right. No, definitely. And then even to now, she still, refers to him as daddy. So it's hard. It's hard. Now here it is. When my fiance came into my son's life, he was going on 2, I think 2 or 3, and he never called him dad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he never even had a slip up to say daddy. You know what I'm saying? So that was never even a conversation that we had to have.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And then of course my son's dad always been in his life since day one. So when I introduced Tay to Jonathan, even as he got older, he just always knew that was my boyfriend at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it was never is this my daddy? Because his father was very active in his life. So I never even had to have that conversation with him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, if he ever did say it, I probably would have kind of corrected it. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that it would have been a problem with him, and saying, is this my daddy? But I probably, would have said, no, this is not your daddy, this is my boyfriend. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Daddy Junior, that's your daddy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I definitely would have corrected it. But even as of now, he just calls him Tay by his first name.
But now he's old.
Yeah. So, there's no need to even have that conversation. But and then when you bring men into your kid's life, as you dating or you in a committed relationship, and you bring, another man into your life, those are the questions or stuff that you have to deal with.
And then I'm wondering, because I have seen a lot of women that it seemed like they rush to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if my kid call you dad, maybe you'll feel obligated to stay.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, it's also scary for the man, because it's like, oh my gosh, I got 19 kids. Now your kid calling me daddy. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's another responsibility. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm out of here.
Yeah. True.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
So the mom is mad because the man left, and my kid was calling this is all my baby know. He's been in my baby's life since they've been born, and he know him as daddy.
But that's why that's why you gotta have that conversation, like April said.
All parties.
I agree. Mm-hmm. You gotta have that conversation, because regardless, as a parent, if you're forcing it or if the kid just doing it on their own,
right?
It may come up and you lost for words. Danita said, if my children had a relationship with my mate, I wouldn't have an issue with it, especially if my children choose to do it and not force.
Choose.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then too, what about the parent that's the dad that's active? You know, if they have an issue with it,
I'm
because
sure.
they may say, well, you know, why is these kids or this child is calling this person dad? It's like I said, there's nothing. I don't personally see anything wrong with it, but with now you got another problem because
He feeling some
he
type of
feeling some
way.
type of way,
Like
and it's
I'm not, yeah.
right. So vice, I mean, and I guess that's the stuff you got to think about being even just a mother, because now if um your ex remarry or move on into a long committed relationship and meet somebody else, how would you feel if they calling that person mom? You know, is your first response like, that's not your mother? You know what I'm saying?
Okay, a little bit of petty. That's gonna be my probably initial response, but then I'm gonna get over it because I know you know who I am.
Right.
You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I know your daddy knows who I am, and I know your stepmom know who I am too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
Right.
as long as my son doesn't get it confused,
Right.
just like he know he has real cousins, he know he has play cousins.
Right.
He call them all cousins.
Right,
You
right,
know what
right,
I'm
right.
saying?
And that's why, again, as parents, you got to explain when you say to your son or your child, this your cousin, and they say, is this really my cousin? You be like, nah, me and the mom just grew up. Y'all grew up together. You do the
Hmm.
same thing when it comes to mom and dad.
I think that's a good
Parents.
way to handle it. You know what I'm saying? Just as long as there is no disrespect. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, he call you mom, but don't get too excited with that name. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Don't overstep your boundaries. So as long as don't do it. So as long as I don't have to shut anything down, I don't care what he call you.
Right, right, right,
So I
right.
mean, just as long as you're comfortable with it and you understand that the relationship goes beyond you and that man, because now
Hmm.
my son is looking to you for whatever. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So I mean, it can all work, but you just have to be comfortable with the role. You know what I'm saying? That's
Hmm.
just like I was thinking. Okay, so Jagger's older, so I don't know. Like I don't even know if I heard him call another man dad. I think I would probably get frustrated a little bit.
Hmm.
Not because he don't know his real father, not because him and his real father don't have a relationship. Just like I need to know
So
why you feel. I need to know why you feel the way you feel. Like I need to know why you feel comfortable enough to call this person dad.
okay, so what about if he's older, he's 10 now, but
Mm-hmm.
as he get even more older and he's like, well, because I feel that he plays the role, he's here active in my life on an everyday basis. And be able to say to you, well, mommy, I know who my real dad is, but I want to respect this man and call him daddy.
I
What
can't
about
fight with that.
right, right. So
If you got a good rationale, I mean, I just don't want you to feel obligated.
right.
You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I don't want you to feel, well, this will make mommy happy or this will make
The
John
person,
happy. You
right,
know what I'm
right,
saying? I just,
right.
want you to make that decision on your own, but I want to know why do you feel that. I don't want you to feel like you have to. I want you to be comfortable with doing it. But I also want that other person to be comfortable with him saying it to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it is a big responsibility.
Right.
So,
Danita said, I think it's more important to keep the lines of communication open with your
right,
children.
right,
I
right,
think
right,
I
right,
read
right.
that. She also said, of course, an active father will have an issue. It's a man thing. I wouldn't be mad that would call for all parties involved to have a conversation with
Very
the
much so.
children. Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. Um, so, talk to us. Share some of your stories that maybe you've been in a situation like that and how you was able to,
Handle it.
handle it.
Or how do you handle it currently? Because who's to say that? Oh, so like even what if like you said, what if the role is reversed? Like what if your kid come home and they say, my mom so and so, or mommy, my new mom, or call
Mm-hmm.
her
Mm-hmm.
like, honestly, like I do believe that will pull a heartstring. You
Right.
know what I'm
I
saying? If
don't know.
only
Let me.
for a moment.
You know what? I don't know because with my son now being at his dad's house with his girlfriend, fiance, um, I actually had acknowledged her to Jonathan, or even sometimes talking to people as his stepmom.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? No, they're not married yet, but I mean, I know that's the goal. But I mean, she does play the role of it. That's the thing. Like she's in the house on a daily basis, taking care of my son.
right.
So because
She's active in his
she's
life.
active,
Yeah.
I guess even like I said, it's a respect thing. You know what I'm saying? He know, like you said, he know who his mom is. So I have said, his stepmom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, if he was to say something, say, "Oh, that's not my stepmom," he never even said that. So again, that was a conversation that never even really had to come up too. But I have acknowledged her as, being a stepmom.
That's cool.
Because she plays that role.
And then, okay, so I have another question for you. What about the absent dads? Like we're talking about our children's father because they're active. You know what I'm saying? They're involved in their life and doing daddy stuff. But what about the absent fathers that, might appear once a year?
Well,
and then they in their feelings about
there you go.
You calling them daddy?
I'm in both situations. You know what I'm saying? So I'm all this. You know what I'm saying? This whole conversation is my life. To be honest with you, it really is. Because, of course, people that know me and keep hearing the story, and I guess when having these conversations, this is topics and the stories that come up and repeat itself because this is my life. You know what I'm saying? This is my life. So, you have the absent dad that's not there. You can't get mad if another man stepped up and helped raise my child. You really don't have nothing to say. That's just my opinion. Now, I guess that could be now you being disrespectful. Like I said, I know how to respect somebody who's who. You know what I'm saying? Who's involved. But if you're not there and it's no way you're going to be like, no, she shouldn't be calling him daddy. No, he shouldn't be calling her, mommy or whatever. If you're not involved.
What if he in prison?
Oh, okay. I mean,
that's a whole new dynamic.
I ain't never think about it like that.
That's real. That's real deep. I mean, because you do have fathers that are incarcerated. I mean, they may talk to their son or their daughter or whatever, but it's still another man. Going to the recitals and picking up groceries and doing all that good stuff.
That would be the same thing to where when we said earlier, you sit down and you talk to the kid about what the situation is. Now, when you talk about an absent father, like where the child might not even know who their dad is,
and then he just
know who their dad is, but like you said, once a year, every 3, 4, 5 years, dad. Then no, you don't have a right to tell me she shouldn't be calling this other man daddy. First of all, I'm not going to have my child calling every man that I have dated or that I have been involved with daddy, number one. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to happen. But somebody who I'm married to, you don't have no say-so.
Okay, so then how long do you think, I guess the kid determines that. I was about to say, not even that. I don't mean to say the kid determines it, but okay, so you're dating somebody.
See, the dating, I don't know. That's just me. I wasn't in that situation where I was dating somebody and that happened. Like I said, with my daughter, I was already married. She was 2. You know what I'm saying? And with her being in daycare and everything like that, I can't tell you where she got that to call him daddy. You know what I'm saying? But it happened. It came out. But
he looked like a daddy.
So, but I never was dating anybody for that, like to happen in that level. But if it was, I probably would be like, nah. But somebody else might feel it's okay. And if that's what they choose to do, that's on them. But that goes to where, like you said, now what about if they split ways? They break up. You know what I'm saying? Is it going to hurt the child? Is this guy still going to be involved in the child's life? After calling,
after
this guy
daddy.
Right. So, yeah. It's deep. And to be honest with you, as parents, we don't think of these what's the word? We don't think of these issues, right? That's gonna come up until it is
in your face.
Yes. And you got to deal with it.
Yeah. And it's crazy because it's like I know for me, it's like I already didn't want to date. And then once I had to get back and pretend to play the field, then I'm saying I'm a single mom and I'm dating. So I'm already real cautious about who I introduce my child to.
Right.
And then no matter how I introduce, the person, my kid going to be like, side-eyeing them.
Right.
So it's hard, you know what I'm saying, being a single parent, but I'm so glad. Like I never the one time he did say daddy, like I said, it was because he heard it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I immediately corrected it.
And even for me, even my whole childhood, I only knew one man as daddy. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's not like I even was in a situation to where my mother forced me or my mother said this your daddy or I wanted to call another man daddy. You know what I'm saying? I always knew who daddy was. So I've never even been in a situation. So when it was time for me to handle it the way I did, it was just like, okay.
The funny thing is with my mom. My mom is hilarious. But anyway, the funny thing is that when she would say like, this is your dad. And it would be a white guy. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I would be old enough to be like, come on, man. You know, so I always knew who my real dad was. But she would just say it because, her and my dad would be beefing for whatever reason.
Okay, so she did it like as a joke.
Yeah, she'd be like, this your daddy right here. And it'd be a white guy. Uh-huh. So I never really had that issue, to have to or to want to call another man dad. You know what I'm saying? I will say he's like my father or he's been in my life my whole life, but to be like, yeah, that's my daddy.
Right.
And
you know what? And it's not. And like I said, sometimes it could even be if the dad is locked up. Let's hypothetically say the dad passed away. You know what I'm saying? What about if the dad passed away? And this young child growing up, or even already old enough, where another man comes into their life.
Uh-huh.
And they calling this person daddy because they didn't have that because their father wasn't present. Not because they didn't want to be there, but because
he didn't have the opportunity to be there.
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So that also, that depends. So every situation is different, really. But I guess the main thing is
conversation.
Talk to your kids.
Yeah.
Talk to the kids. Talk to the other person.
Yeah. That's serious.
Because it can really be hurtful and not just with the parents, but also the kids.
Yeah, and I think it probably ultimately affects the child more because if you disappear out of that kid's life like their father or like their mother, if you disappear, then they're going to become afraid to grow an attachment to anybody because they're always used to people leaving their lives.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you attach a title to it because for some reason titles bring tons of responsibility.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And some people are committophobes. They afraid of that commitment, and I was just thinking right now, like if I was dating a man that had a young kid and the kid called me mom, it's not a bad thing, but I think I would be like, no, sweetheart, I'm not your mom, but I do love you. You know what I'm saying? But if you insist on calling me mom, I'm not going to be like, man, stop calling me that.
Right.
But I'm going to let you know that, I love you as if you were mine. I'm going to take care of you as if you were mine.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not your mom.
Right.
Mm-hmm. A lot of stuff you can probably get away with your mom.
Right.
So, it's all in how you, communicate with the other adult. You know what I'm saying? So they understand the roles and responsibilities that come along with being called daddy because that's not anything to play with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's just like, it's not being called a cousin. You can fight your play cousin. You know what I'm saying? Y'all cannot talk anymore ever.
Mm-hmm.
But, when it comes to a parental role, it's a lot more responsibility to that. You can't just ride past that kid when you see him on the street messing up. You know what I'm saying? You got to pull up and be like, what's good? Because maybe your father's not around, maybe your mother's not around, and I just so happen to see you out here about to get yourself into some trouble, so I'm obligated because I have now assumed that position, that title.
Right.
So
you're right.
Or at least that's how I feel about it.
So we want to thank everyone for joining Jazz and T, JT Ladies Lounge on this Sunday. We're going to go ahead and take a little break, about 2-3 minutes, and we'll be right back. So stay tuned.
Yes, make sure y'all stay tuned because as you can see, we got a nice little new format stuff. So we got some cool things going on. So make sure you stay tuned and we will be right back.
Welcome back to JT Ladies Lounge. We want to thank everybody for joining us. Like, comment, and share.
Yes.
Thank you for taking the time to join and chat with us on this Sunday. So back to what we was discussing when the children call another man daddy, or vice versa when children call another female mommy. And I was thinking about when you said when you give somebody that role, and it just made me think how our kids call us aunt. You get what I'm saying? Where is Auntie Tamara is Auntie Jazz. You get what I'm saying? Is Auntie Nikki is Auntie Kiki and all that stuff. And we're not really blood. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that goes the same way when the child calls the new mate, or the new mate, married, or you're not married, however your situation is, dad or mom.
But the thing is that with that role, we assume that role. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if something is out of order, or you see something, see something, say something to the kid, or to the mom. It's never been a situation with us with the auntie titles that we have been like, don't say this to my kid, don't say that to my kid. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We have known each other long enough to where we feel that all of our parenting roles are sufficient enough to be able to make wise decisions, to be able to guide these children in the way that they should go, or at least keep them out of trouble.
Right, because it's not like every friend that Jagger know of yours, he calls aunt, Maya, John. It's not like every person that came across they call aunt. You know what I'm saying? So when you get that title, like you said, you feel privileged. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You really do. You know, and I guess going back to what we were saying earlier, it's the same place of mom, dad. Every guy that you date, or every female that the guy date, no, you're not gonna have your child call them mommy or daddy. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it goes the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So share with us some of your stories, or
how you
scenarios of how you would react, or handle a situation if it was you.
Yep, you could have maybe a newly single person, that's in the audience, newly single, has a child, has not even thought about this yet. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not dating, you're fresh out of a relationship. But as much as we say we're never going to date again, somehow it always happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, how do you think that you would handle the situation? What do you think would be some great ways to do it, or some great ways to even start the conversation with the person that you potentially want to date, even before the topic, even before your kid catch you completely off guard with that title? Like, how do you think you would handle the scenario? Because we may say how we would handle it, but when it's coming out of a child's mouth, you're just like, oh.
Or another scenario. Say you dating, again, if you're dating. And I'm not just saying dating just different. I'm saying you're in a committed relationship and you've been with somebody for quite some time, or you married, whatever the case may be, and you now have this child. You're pregnant with this man baby, right?
Okay.
And now the kid that was already born, it was already born into a relationship, is like, why can't I call him daddy if my sister or brother calls him daddy? You get what I'm saying? Like, how
I don't know if it's not that you can't. Like,
not can't, but I'm just saying, what about if the child wants to?
Yeah.
And
the man don't want
to. But you as a woman, you brought this child into the relationship, but you might not feel really comfortable with him being called daddy. But he's doing it, baby. Yeah, but he's doing by the other kid. No, I'm saying, but you're not comfortable with the other kid calling him daddy, but he's playing daddy roles, because sometimes it's the parents that can feel uncomfortable too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes the parents that can feel uncomfortable about the child calling. So, it's like, why can't I? Is this my daddy? This my sister daddy. So why can't I call him daddy?
Well, and that's where if it's a question of why, then that means you have to talk to that kid and on their age level. But also, too, at the end of the day, if the kid don't say it in front of you, they're going to say it, period.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're going to say it regardless. So if it's going to be uncomfortable, for the parent, the mom, it's going to be uncomfortable for the, the other parent. But also, even though it's uncomfortable for you, you need to talk to the person that the kid wants to give this title to. Like, hey, I know I'm pregnant with your baby, and you're about to be this kid's dad, but my other child is feeling left out, and they want to call you father as well.
Right.
And I want to know, how do you feel about it, considering I am bringing your new kid into this world, but we're not just going to disregard the feelings of my old kid.
And there's no way you can't tell me that definitely happened.
It happens, but do the conversation happen? That's what I'm curious about.
Right.
So if you have found yourself in a situation, please comment below, because we want to know how you handle it. Again, please like, comment, and share this video. And thank you for joining us here in the Ladies Lounge tonight with this topic here that I feel it happens, and parents just roll with it. You know what I'm saying? And they don't never really, I can't say all parents do, but some people don't sit down and have this talk to see, what's the rationale behind you wanting to call this other person mom or dad. Are you doing it because you want to do it and you feel you can, or are you doing it because you think it's the right thing to do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and then when you say it, how does this person feel about it? The person that's on the receiving end of the name, how do you feel about it? Are you okay with this?
Right, because all the child at some point be like, that's not my daddy. You know what I'm saying? But again, like I said, this man or woman stepped up to the plate to play that role, but then they getting shot down and say, that's not my daddy, that's not my mommy. So
because kids do get grown and they do say that, you ain't my daddy. But you was cool when you was calling me daddy when you were younger, but now you older, and now I'm trying to instill some discipline and some value into you that you don't like, because all kids get to that point where everything the parents say is wrong.
Right.
Now you want to bring up, I'm not your daddy, or I'm not your mom.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that conversation needs to be had too.
Right.
What do you say when a kid say that to you?
After you done
get my money back.
After you done played that role.
Give me my money and my time back, since I'm not your daddy.
After you done played that role for so long.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I'm sure it's hurtful to hear that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure, or the other person can be like, ooh, well, I'm happy you realize that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess this is all in the person you're dealing with. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And the relationship that you have with your kid. It's a topic, ain't it? Seriously, like it's one of those
not
things.
Just a topic. It's
a real life situation.
It's a life situation. Shoot, it's my life. I mean, it honestly is. And I remember before saying no.
Because Sheree said whoop them.
I remember
you got problems.
When we were saying like some of the topics that we come up with, it's our lives. You know, and this is when we started the JT Ladies Lounge. We just wanted to create a show where we are just talking to people, and mainly everyday women with the struggles that we go through. We have gone through them, how we dealt with it. It's not giving y'all advice. It's just really telling our story. Maybe what we went through or what we can share with y'all can help your story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but we wanted to start the conversation. A lot of conversations that a lot of people find hard to talk about. A lot of things that, we are uncomfortable about talking about. Just because you're uncomfortable doesn't mean it's not going to happen to you or to someone you know. So maybe something you see here in the show you can pass along to someone that is in this current situation, or someone that's going through it, or just keep it in the back of your mind for your memory bank, because at some point I'm sure we all gonna cross similar bridges,
right?
If not at this time, at some point in our lives.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. Stay tuned.
Oh shit. I'm sorry. I touched it.
Look, see,
I did. I'm sorry. It's new stuff.
She's moving too fast. I'm so sorry, y'all. Just want to tell y'all again, thank you for joining us. Join back Wednesday. We have a show, WCW, which is our Wild Card Wednesday, where we have a topic that one of our fans, viewers, wanted to discuss, or even sometimes just an idea that comes across from us that somebody else said. So we're gonna have our next show Wednesday is Wild Card Wednesday, and we're actually going to be talking about racism,
prejudice, and what's the other one? Racism, prejudice, and biases.
Yes.
Yes, that's gonna get deep, y'all.
So,
hold on, before we go,
sure
Sheree had
doing,
a comment, and she said it happens and it's a very hard situation, but every situation is different. I think that's what she said, or maybe I read it too fast. I have a daughter that I didn't give birth to, but love her like she is mine, and she calls me mom, and it's your kid's sister. And that's if like you said, it's about how you handle it too. You know what I'm saying? If you assume that role and everybody cool with it, then hats off to you. You know what I'm saying? That's additional children, Sheree. It's additional kids. But for real, like, it's awesome that you're even assuming that role and that you're comfortable enough to do so, because that little girl obviously needs you in her life to at some point. You know what I'm saying? Not saying you're trying to take her mom's spot, but she appreciates what you do for her and how you treat her. You know what I'm saying? So hats off to you for assuming that role. Can Jagger call you mom too? All right, guys. Like Tamara was saying. Oh, go ahead and finish what you were saying, friend. I'm sorry.
No, I just wanted to tell everybody thank you for joining us. Make sure you like, comment, and share.
Yes, do that.
If you want to contact Jazz and I about upcoming events, even if you would like to have an interview, or you want to share some music that you guys have, or somebody who want to share music, hit us up at TL2 with Jazz and T. You can also, of course, find us on Facebook at Jetsons Radio DC, and of course our personal pages.
Twitter is TL2 with Jazz and T. Also, guys, don't forget about our YouTube page. We got that up and popping. That's TL2 as well, right? TL2,
no,
JT Ladies Lounge. Okay, JT Ladies Lounge. TL2 is one of the two.
Right.
Yes. Also, as you can see at the bottom, we have credits going across the bottom now, guys. So you can advertise there. Hit us up for advertisement space, for sponsorship packages. We are also looking for show hosts as well. So if you would love to host your own show, give it a shot. Make sure you contact us about that as well. We have an event coming up September 16th, correct? And
Mom's
that is
Day Out.
Yes, Mom's Day Out in Columbia, Maryland, and that's going to be awesome. So if you want more information on that, or if you want to come out and support the moms, or come out and support JT Ladies Lounge, we will be there doing interviews and having fun, networking, supporting each other. So we look forward to seeing you there if you're in the DMV area. And that is it. Oh, don't forget, join us on Wednesday for Wild Card Wednesday, racism, biases, and prejudice. So you all have a good night. We'll see you then.
Thank you.